Holy shit, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. The New York Jets just traded Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts. On trade deadline day, I figured it would be a day for the New York Jets. I made my prediction video earlier this morning, talked about guys like Breece Hall, Quincy Williams, Allen Lazard, on and on and on the list went. Not one time did I think that I would be logging on to do a Sauce Gardner trade. Wow. All right, so we'll pull it up. We're going to do reactions to this, and any info that comes out we'll obviously pull up. It's very mixed reviews from Jets fans right now. ESPN sources, Colts are trading 2 first-round picks for the Jets for cornerback Sauce Gardner, the 4th overall pick from the 2022 NFL Draft, 2-time All-Pro, Defensive Rookie of the Year, just signed a contract this past offseason, made him the highest paid corner in the NFL. Gone. He has been traded to the Indianapolis Colts. Now, there are some reports that a player is coming back in this deal with the New York Jets. I am looking up who that would be. Gator Needs His Gat is saying, according to Jay Glazer, the Jets are getting A.D. Mitchell also. So another wide receiver. Going to pull this up right now. According to Jay Glazer, thank you for the Gator Needs His Gat on that poll. A.D. Mitchell also in the trade for Sauce Gardner. This is really more so shock for me that they actually went and did this. I think 2 first-round picks is obviously franchise-altering, getting one in the 26th draft and 2027 draft. I just really hope that they have a plan and that Brandon Stephens is going to be the real deal. He's looked better over the last couple of weeks, and that A.Z. Thomas is going to be a good football player, because that is a huge, huge gamble to take. A.D. Mitchell, by the way, 9 catches for 152 yards this year, was a high second-round pick, 52nd overall, coming out of Texas. Had 302 receiving yards on 23 catches last year. 2 more years remaining on his rookie contract beyond just this year. 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell is what the report seems to be right now. We're obviously just reacting to information. Pulling up this tweet from Will Parkinson, friend of the show, says 2 ones and A.D. Mitchell back to the Jets. Mitchell just turned 23, was picked 52nd in 2023 by Indy, had a very rocky start to his career, to say the least. Talent is there, but with Pierce, Pittman, and Downs, he's out of the mix. What a wild trade. It is a wild trade, and I don't know how I feel about it. And I know that's probably not great for someone who has a Jets YouTube channel and talks about this team every single day. And I should come on here and be telling you that this is either the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world. I don't know how I feel about it. I think the pros in this are you have now significant draft capital over the next 2 years to turn this thing around, clearly, and the Jets need significant help on their roster. But the chances of you landing a player like Sauce Gardner is slim. It's like the meme from Family Guy where you're going to take the mystery boxes because you don't know what's in there. A boat could be in there. It all depends on how they allocate those resources too, right? Like, they need a quarterback long term. They need help at wide receiver because clearly they traded for John Mechie and A.D. Mitchell in the last couple days here. They need more at edge. They need more. They need to redo the linebacker room because I don't know what the long term plan is there behind Jamie Sherwood, who hasn't been very good. They need more at safety. And like I said, you better hope that A.Z. Thomas is as good as they think he is, and Brandon Stephens has to play like he has the last 3 weeks and not like he looked earlier on in the year. Is this a big gamble to trade a franchise player like this in Sauce Gardner, who I personally thought was going to be a part of the Jets turnaround? That hasn't happened in the 4 years he's been here. They haven't made the playoffs. And, I know he didn't make it through year 4. They weren't trending towards making the playoffs this year at 1-7. And that wasn't necessarily the expectation for this year, but it's just a little bizarre that you decide to make him the highest paid corner. And then a few months later, you trade him. And again, that's not me saying that the value back that they got wasn't fair value. I think 2 first-round picks and you get AD Mitchell thrown in. That's obviously a reasonable ask for a player, and taking on the contract that Sauce Gardner has. It's just very, very surprising. NY Guy 89 says, as a fan, I hate to see him go, but Sauce going to a competitive team, he deserves to see the playoffs. Just wish it was with us. He does deserve to see the playoffs, clearly. Like, he's a really good football player. I know, the overarching narrative with Sauce Gardner maybe for the last couple of years has changed. I think the writing him off as much as you have this year, I don't think has been fair. I think he's played better than what the overall consensus is, and some of the advanced analytics show that. He's by far the best corner in the NFL at in separation and not allowing any. You always see that chart, floating around, or that graphic floating around. It's just a really big swing. It's a really bold decision from the New York Jets to completely change the direction of that they were building this defense. And you had Sauce Gardner's reaction to it. I don't think this is, he's a guy who's just signed here. I don't think he was someone who's like demanded a trade by any stretch of the imagination. And you pull up the tweet, New York, it's been real. I'm again really, really surprised that this was the move that they decided to make today. I didn't think they would make the big splash trade. I thought maybe Quincy and Alan Lazard would get dealt today. I thought there was a chance of Breece Hall, but nobody was talking Sauce Gardner. Hell, even Diana Rossini was on ESPN New York with Jake Asman, actually was filling in for Bart Scott. It was Chris Carlin and Jake Asman today. And she was like, yeah, I don't think we're going to get anything that crazy today. It's been pretty quiet. Well, Sauce Gardner getting traded is a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal, man. He goes for 2 first-round picks. Where they are right now, the Indianapolis Colts, I know they just they lost this past week to Pittsburgh. And didn't look great, but they're a 7-2 football team that's trying to win and trying to compete. So again, a very bold move from this new regime, and it gives them a ton of ammunition to work with. We don't know how that's going to play out. We don't know what those picks are going to turn into right now. Maybe they use it and try to find another wide receiver. Maybe they use it and trade up for a quarterback. They could use it on, numerous different things. This roster does need a lot of work. I get that, but this feels different than the Jamal Adams trade from a few years ago. And they got a lot for Jamal Adams when they traded him to Seattle, but it was clear that Jamal didn't want to be here anymore. And while he was a good player, it was just like it clearly ran its course and it was done. Sauce, you gave him this long-term extension, and you're going, all right, this is a guy that we're going to build this thing around. And then halfway through that first season, he's traded. It's just a surprise, not something that I was expecting. So 2 first-round picks, and in return, they get Sauce Gardner and AD Mitchell. AD Mitchell's more name at this point. He hasn't really produced in the NFL at all. I mentioned his numbers previously. He's just 100 and something yards, I believe it was. I'll pull it up right now. It was 152 yards on 9 catches, and he's played in 8 games, started 1. Just thought that maybe could be a back end of the first round pick. He ends up going second round, and in 25 career games has 464 receiving yards. Wild. Absolutely wild. Did not expect that one to come through today. And I wonder what that means for the Jets the rest of the day, right? There's still just under 3 hours to the trade deadline, 4 o'clock. The trade deadline is going to come through. And I wonder if what that means for Brees Hall. I wonder what that means for Quinnen and Quincy and some of these other guys. But this is a big shock. Let's go back to the comments here. B. Weston says, in hindsight, the extension made the return better. We think so? That extension made the return better? I don't know. I think the player, if you were trading him to Indianapolis in the offseason and they had the opportunity to negotiate the deal, I don't know if that would have made it better or not. Jetpack says, just dropped to my knees in the middle of Goodwill. I was eating lunch downstairs and I looked at my phone and I said that this can't be. I have push notifications on for Ian Rappaport, and I know that it's like, I knew it wasn't a fake account, but I said, there's no way. And then I open up Twitter. I see the tweet saying Sauce Gardner that he was gone, that he's leaving New York. And then everybody else chimes in on top of it. It's nuts. Let's see what some of the beat is saying. Connor Hughes on Twitter had this to say: the Jets just extended Sauce Gardner. They viewed him as a building block and cornerstone of the franchise at the time. What a difference a few weeks make. They're trading him to the Colts. And again, like I've been saying here since I've been live, I don't think if they only got 1 first-round pick, I would be significantly more upset than I am right now. I think getting 2 first-round picks is arguably fair value for Sauce Gardner. I'm just surprised that's the route that they took after you just signed the guy in the summer. It would be different if they traded Brees Hall, who they have yet to sign a contract to and is on an expiring deal. It'd be different if you trade Quincy Williams, who's on a contract and expiring deal. And clearly, you're not getting multiple first-round picks for either of those two guys. This is just a big surprise. Jetpack chimes in again. Only jersey I bought since Jamal Adams. So Jetpack's got in the closet right now a Sauce Gardner jersey and a Jamal Adams jersey. Jetpack, I am sorry to do this to you. I'm putting you on a ban of buying jerseys in the short term, because clearly that is a big reason that these guys are getting dealt. I'm not blaming you. David Bruce, he's a member of the channel. David, thank you so much for the chat here. Says, totally gutted about trading Sauce, one of our best defenders. Just wondering who's next. Garrett, Brees, Quincy. Garrett is absolutely untouchable in my eyes. That would get a significantly bigger reaction out of me, even if they did get a similar deal, the 2 first-round picks back. Brees and Quincy, we'll see what their plan is there. Again, it's more, I'm having a hard time coming on and giving you the analysis of this, because how out of left field it is. It's, not like we've had weeks to sit on this and talk about the pros and the cons. This was not something that was expected out of the Jets today. And this is a player who you drafted 4th overall with high expectations and who came in and met and exceeded those expectations. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was an All-Pro twice in 4 seasons. I don't know if he would have been a first-team All-Pro this year, but he still very well may be a second-team All-Pro. Sauce is a really good football player. Again, I know there's some, people get on him for the tackling and the penalties. I think some of that stuff's a little overblown. I think there's too much of a focus on that part of his game. And this is a guy who's let up 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns in 4 years. It's not Sauce Gardners don't grow on trees. And it just goes back to my original point is, okay, you decide to trade him. That's fine. I just need to know what the plan is after this. And we're not going to know until we get to the draft and what their plan is. Clearly, we're thinking quarterback for this team. But what is it after that? Are you just going to use that pick that you acquired to draft another corner? the Darrelle Revis, D. Milner route? I don't think so, because you have Brandon Stevens under contract for 2 more years. You just drafted AZ Thomas. He's going to start the rest of the way. It's going to be a big test for him. You have Jarvis Brownlee, but you better, I've said it a few times already, you better hope that AZ Thomas is as good as they think he is. And I'm optimistic of him as a player, but this is still a 3rd round pick, a rookie who has 2 starts under his belt. Crazy. Ablab chimes in and says 2 wide receivers and a wide receiver 2 and AD Mitchell is not bad. It isn't bad. I don't, even just the first 2 rounders, I don't know if AD Mitchell's a wide receiver 2. He might be by default on this team, but he hasn't done anything in his career to indicate that he's a wide receiver 2. Through here, we'll pull it up on this tab. Here's a look at the numbers. This is career stats. Last year, played in 17 games, started 7, 23 catches for 312 yards. This year in Indianapolis has played in 8 games, started 1, 16 targets, 9 catches, 152 yards, no touchdowns. If he turns into the player that Indy thought they were getting in the draft, then yeah, he probably is a wide receiver 2 in this league. But he's a flyer right now, and he's under team control for 2 more years, which I guess is an added plus. But I don't know. I don't know what AD Mitchell is. You still, even with adding AD Mitchell and John Mechie, you're still going into the offseason, I think, with wide receiver as a need for this team. Sir Brooks says that's a good haul, but my God, this hurts. And that's maybe the best way to describe it. Is it's more so shocking. As a fan of this team, it's hard not to have favorite players and draw, or have a connection to players who are good on your team. Again, how many, we're Jeff fans here, how many players have we watched this team take in the first round that don't do anything with the team and flame out of the NFL? There's a guy who was picked very high, who was excellent out of the gate, was a defensive rookie of the year, a two-time first team All-Pro, signed a contract extension, which is something that also doesn't happen very often. And then he gets traded away. And yeah, it's fun to talk about, mock drafts and, the future. But at the same time too, in 2022, when this draft, when they drafted Sauce Gardner, they were able to draft Sauce and Garrett Wilson because they traded Jamal Adams. So I just don't want to be stuck in this loop where every 4 years we're looking forward to another draft that has multiple first round picks because they traded a high draft pick. I want those high draft picks to work out and be building block pieces. They traded Leonard Williams. And I'm not even saying that the decisions to trade all of these guys were wrong at the time. That's not the case that I'm making. The case that I'm making is they've just been bad for so long that they hit the reset button so often that these guys don't stay here and have any chance of having any success team-wise as in a playoff run. I mean, you had a 5th overall or 6th overall pick in Leonard Williams. He gets traded away. And for a fine return, but he doesn't get a second contract with the Jets. He gets traded away. Sam Darnold gets traded away, a quarterback taken 3rd overall. Zach Wilson, who clearly was a bust, gets traded away. Sauce Gardner gets traded away. Jamal Adams gets traded away. That's how many top 10 picks that I just listed off in the last 10 years. Right? That's Leonard Williams, Jamal Adams, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, and now Sauce Gardner. That's 5 first-round picks that have been traded away in the last 10 years. These are guys that they're supposed to be building block pieces. And again, I get it. The return that you just got for Sauce Gardner, it's not a bad return. It just sucks that they keep having to hit the reset button. And I hope to God they hit on these 2 picks that they just got from Indianapolis, because it's going to be a real tough look if Sauce Gardner is going on to have, a Hall of Fame level career and we're stuck, with shit in our pants over here because they didn't hit on their draft. Now, you feel a lot better if you find your franchise quarterback and get him some pieces around him and you make the playoffs a couple years down the line. But that hasn't been the path so far. The path has been suck, acquire top 10 picks, keep them on the roster for 3 years, and trade them away. That's been their recipe. Kyle says, I'm sorry, I disagree. Sauce is good, not great. 2 first-round picks is something you have to accept to build around your rookie quarterback. Love this trade. You have every right to love this trade. You have every, and I don't think it's unfair. I don't think it's unfair value for Sauce Gardner, but I think Sauce is easily a top 5 cornerback at his position. And when he's at his best, he's probably number 2 behind Pat Surtain. To me, a top 5 player at their position is an elite player. I think he is great. I think anytime you're a 2-time All-Pro in your first 3 years in the league, you're a great player. But we're splitting hairs here. And it's not as much about what the return is for Sauce, which very well could be pieces that you are putting around your young quarterback. I hope that's the case. I hope that they use these picks because now Sauce isn't here. So we don't have to, you can't cry over spilled milk, right? Like it's gone. It happened already. It's over. Well, you better hit on these picks to make life as easy for your next quarterback as humanly possible. Because if you don't hit on the quarterback and if you don't hit on the pieces around him and you're firing coaches after 3 years and you're hitting the reset button again, then whoever you take, with the pick from the Colts this year is probably getting traded in 2030. So, I get it. And you can absolutely like this trade. I think you can make a strong case for it, saying that this team needs a roster reset and that, 2 first-round picks are going to go a long way to doing that. That's fine. But I also think it's fair for Jet fans who grow to like these players who are drafted highly by the team and perform to be upset that the guy's gone. And I kind of find myself in both boats and maybe skewing a little bit more towards I'm apprehensive about this trade. But I don't think you're wrong for saying that you like it. I think the return back is fair return. Just checking up on some Twitter to see if we have any updates on AD Mitchell. Michael Carter chimes in. He's no longer a Jet, but let me share this tab. Instead, he says, no way. There was a bunch of reactions. Jermaine Johnson had a tweet as well. I'll pull up Jermaine Johnson's tweet. He couldn't believe it. He had the popcorn tweet about an hour ago, so I think he felt like something was coming down the line here. It was surprising. It was a surprising day, man. They probably felt like it was too good to pass up. Connor Rogers of Badlands, he's also a big draft guy, so I feel like it's good to get his perspective on it because he covers the Jets on pre and post game show. He covers the Jets with Badlands, but he's also a draft person. So he understands the trade value and can maybe sell someone like me who's a little bit apprehensive on it. Says this trade makes a ton of sense for both sides. Sauce is a really good player that fills a huge need at cornerback 1 for a contender in the Colts, a team that Ballard has been trying to build for a long time. For the Jets, they will be taking quarterback at the top of next year's draft. You need more assets to build the right infrastructure on offense around that player. That matters more than anything else long-term. It's very early, but using the extra 1 on a strong wide receiver class would be logical. That's the thing. If that's the approach that they take, then yes, that absolutely makes sense for this football team. If we're talking about the Jets taking an off-ball linebacker in 4 months, you're going to see my hair explode off the top of my head. So it depends on what the Jets do with this information now and with this draft capital now. I want to have the faith in Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn that they're going to do the right things. And I think in their first draft class, they hit on Armand Membu in the first round. He seems like he's an awesome player. They drafted Mason Taylor at tight end, who I think is starting to come on a little bit. They have to know that wide receiver is a massive need for this team. Have to. And you have to put that rookie quarterback, whoever it is, Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, John Mateer, whoever you like, right? It doesn't have to be a specific one today, but whichever one they take at the top of the draft in 2026, you have to spend the offseason in free agency and the NFL draft to do everything in your power to make sure that kid is in the best position for success. Don't put him in the Sam Darnold situation in 2018. That roster stunk. That team was not good for the 3 years that he was here. With Zach Wilson, they didn't have a wide receiver one his first year. The offensive line was in a horrible spot, and that's not giving Zach Wilson a pass. He also wasn't good, but this has the potential, keyword being the potential, to be a decent landing spot for a rookie quarterback. They just have to continue to add the right pieces around said quarterback to make sure that they're putting this kid in a good opportunity. And number two, they also got to pick the right guy, which has been a very big issue for this team. They haven't hit on the quarterback. So it's a two-parter here, and you have to build up the rest of the roster and put the team in a good position for a young quarterback, completely understanding that. But you also have to hit on the quarterback pick too. It's a twofold answer. It really is. The comments are absolutely flying through. We got almost 1,100 of you guys hanging out in here. I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you just joined in, make sure to leave a like. I'm staying on for a little bit longer. Going to just go through some comments. I want to pull them up here too. But the comments have been flying through. So like the Humble Box is saying, I wouldn't draft a quarterback until you build a team. They're taking, I don't know how to tell you this, but they're going to take a quarterback in 2026. They don't have one on the roster. Siberian says, I know we got 2 first rounders, but what picks are those 2 first rounders going to be this year? Late first, maybe. And knowing us, we'll have a late first again next year. So not worth it. If the draft was today, which it's not, but let's do as of today, the Jets have the 3rd pick in the NFL draft based on their own. But they would also, well, Indianapolis has pick 32 right now. I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl, so I don't think it'll be pick 32. But if they get to the divisional round, the earliest that pick can be is pick 25. If they're bounced in the wild card, the earliest that pick could be 19, but it would be from that 19 to 24 range. Do I think Indy is a AFC Championship Super Bowl level team? Probably not. Best guess, this pick is going to be somewhere between 20 and 28. So they'll have, right now, pick 3. I would imagine it stays a top 3 pick. A top 3 pick and a pick at the back end of the first round. NY Cursor says, not saying Sauce isn't good, but he's nowhere near Revis, almost as good as Cromartie, if you want to be honest. Well, Darrelle Revis is one of the 3 best cornerbacks of all time. So I agree with you. He's not as good as Darrelle Revis. He is definitely better than Antonio Cromartie. Antonio Cromartie, I don't believe, was ever a first-time All-Pro. Good player, especially with the Jets. He was a All-Pro once in 2007. He had the 10 interception season, and then was a Pro Bowler with the Jets from 2012 and 2013, and then again in 2014 with Arizona. Good Jet, really good player. Not as good as Sauce Gardner. Dylan, thank you, Dylan, for hanging out in here. One of my favorite Jets accounts. Make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. Says Sauce is way better than Crow. Come on now. And I loved Antonio Cromartie. Don't make me put Antonio Cromartie hate into the universe. You won't get it from me. But let's be fair here. See, we're doing the whole interception thing again. If you're going to look at the interception argument, then there's going to be a lot of cornerbacks that are better in the NFL than Sauce Gardner. But if you care about your cornerback giving up yards and touchdowns, there aren't very many who give up fewer than Sauce Gardner. CJ wants to know if Brees walks in and asks for a trade. I don't know if he's going to demand a trade. I think it's really dependent on offense, right? On what the plan is on the offensive side of the ball. And he wants to get paid too, but the locker room, I'm sure, isn't thrilled about this trade because they see this as another year where they are just kind of giving up. Another one from Connor Hughes that I wanted to pull up here. And thanks everyone again for hanging out with me for this one. Big breaking news from the Jets today. Darren Muji has a saying, if the phone rings, he's answering it. This is why the Jets were not shopping Sauce Gardner. They had no intention of trading Gardner. They were offered a package they simply couldn't down. 2 firsts and 80 Mitchell, who was not a third rounder. He was a second rounder. I guess the jury's still out on 80 Mitchell. That doesn't, to me, 80 Mitchell is not stopping me from taking another receiver early in this draft coming up in 2026. But I mean, maybe there's a world where it's like Garrett, a rookie wide receiver, and 80 Mitchell as your top 3 guys. Arian Smith beyond that. Maybe John Mechie hangs around. The wide receiver room clearly needs a lot of work, and they've taken 2 flyers in the last week with John Mechie coming back in the Michael Carter deal and 80 Mitchell coming back in the Sauce Gardner deal. Thomas Sandler says, we have our tackles, hopefully coach and wide receiver, as everything needed before you draft a quarterback. Muji has the timeline right. Just get it right in April. You have to have a strong offensive line, which I think the Jets are trending towards that direction. You have the tackles, like you said. I would keep Joe Timmon at right guard. I would retain Josh Myers, and I would retain John Simpson. I would likely add an interior offensive lineman in the draft. And then I feel in the mid rounds, let's say somewhere between 2 to 5, somewhere in that range. And I feel pretty good about the offensive line in next year and going forward. You have your wide receiver 1. Probably need another wide receiver. Depends on what you're doing at running back with Breece Hall. You have a tight end that you feel pretty good about. Could use another one, depending on, Jeremy Ruckert's free agent at the end of the year, and they might want to upgrade. But there have definitely been worse landing spots for quarterbacks than what the 2026 Jets will look like. It's just about how they continue to add. It's not a finished product right now. There's some bones here that are okay in building out a nice soft landing spot for a rookie quarterback, but it's not done yet. And they can't just go, oh, after this trade, we're good. Just get, Fernando Mendoza and everything's going to be fine. It's not. They need to continue to build out the roster on offense to make sure that it's okay. Matthew chimes in with the super chat. Thank you, Matthew. Says top 3 picks, draft picks for 2026. Quarterback, wide receiver, edge, corner. I love Sauce, but such a tough compensation to turn down. I think you nailed it, the first 3. I would say quarterback, wide receiver, edge would be my guess for the top 3 picks. They could probably use more at corner. Depends on what AZ Thomas looks like the rest of the way for this team. It is tough. It is tough compensation to turn down. It is. And I'm not absolutely torching them for doing it. I'm not. It's more so coming from a state of surprise. And because I like Sauce Gardner, I think he's a really good football player. And it's rare to hit on draft picks and have them perform at that level, especially for this team. Again, it completely changes the future of this team. And that aspect is exciting when we're going to spend January, February, March doing mock drafts and April doing mock drafts and trying to fix this franchise. But it also sucks losing a player as talented as Sauce Gardner and getting to watch him every Sunday and someone who you thought was going to be one of the guys to turn your franchise around. It sucks. It just flat out does. Continuing to look on socials to see if we're going to get any other updates. So these 2 back-to-back tweets I just find absolutely hilarious. The first is Pete Prisco of CBS, who says, terrible trade for the Colts, way too much to give up. And then one under that says that the Jets are by far the dumbest organization in the NFL. And coming from a Giants fan, it's bad. So, it's probably not that far to the extreme on either side. It's probably not a terrible trade for the Colts. And I don't think it was the dumbest move the Jets could have made as an organization. I would be significantly more hot right now if they came on and we were talking about a Garrett Wilson trade. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. The Colts are getting a bona fide cornerback 1 on a team that's in win now mode. And the Jets, who are not in win now mode, they have to give up a really, 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 really good football player, but are getting 2 first-round picks. You got a super chat from Jersey Abrams. Thank you, Jersey. I don't see a comment in here. If I see one from you, I'll make sure to pop it in. But I appreciate the support here. The Rusty Spooner is saying trade. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'll get to the Rusty Spooners after this. Timothy is saying trade Williams' brother, Wilson Johnson, get 60 first-round picks. Doesn't matter with this team. Fair enough. I did want to get to Rusty's comment. He says Quinnen is getting traded next for another first and some change. Watch. That was a name I mentioned the Diana Rossini interview. That was a name that they were going to watch for today. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if that one still goes through. But if you're looking for some cap ramifications, this is another positive from this Jets trade, at least. Very little dead money for the Jets with this trade. According to Spot Rack, the Jets paid out $14.4 million of cash to Sauce Gardner this season for 9 weeks of work. New York Jets takes on the dead cap hits of $8.75 million in 2025 and 2026. They don't save a ton of they do save a little bit in 25 and 26. 2027 they save a lot of money, 23.7. Minimal savings over the next couple of years, but I thought the dead cap hits would be worse, honestly. I really would. And that's what the Jet Press was saying. That's where I shout out the Jet Press. I saw this tweet. First, shockingly little dead cap. Gardner's deal was heavier on option bonuses and light on signing bonuses. So that's why. NY guy says 89 Garrett Wilson for 2 firsts and 2 seconds. LOL. Yeah, I just don't want to trade him. I don't want to. And no team is offering you that anyway, so it's not something that you have to even really worry about. Damian Woody chimed in, former New York Jet. I wanted to pull up his reaction. He says that's a heck of a trade for the Jets. He likes the deal. He thinks they got good value back. Which, again, I never said they didn't. I think they did. Another great one from Will Parkinson. Jets fans will be heavily rooting for Daniel Jones to turn back into a pumpkin the way he did Sunday for the remainder of the season. The Daniel Jones hate watch commences on Sunday. Do the Colts play on Sunday or are they on the bye? I don't remember off the top of my head. They do. They play the Falcons. Go Falcons, go. Hate watch. All right, we'll get into a few more comments in here. Crazy that Jets have so many first-round value players, says Dominique Howard. They, Sauce is one. Garrett would be one. Outside of that, maybe Quinnen, but I don't think anyone else is really getting first-round picks back for you. I don't think Will McDonald does, which is why I wouldn't trade him. I don't think Jermaine Johnson does, which is why I wouldn't trade him. But Sauce got you a lot. He got you a wide receiver that was taken in the second round a year ago in A.D. Mitchell, and he got you 2 first-round picks. Andrew says, keep Wilson, keep Brees, build around them. I think Brees goes a long way to helping a young quarterback as a safety valve in the passing game, and I think he's the Jets' best runner on this team. I like Isaiah Davis too, but I don't know if he's ready to be an RB1, and Braylon Allen's been very up in the air, to say the least. Craig M says they weren't going to win with Sauce. You can't tackle and has 3 career ints. You now have 3 first-round picks. Jamal Adams trade 2.0. How do you have you're losing me on the 3 first-round picks part? And I think we're being a little too dismissive of the impact of a number 1 corner versus a box safety. It's a little different. And again, if the Jets hit on their 2 picks from the Colts, that's great. That absolutely changes the perspective on it. The Jets got Elijah Vera Tucker and Garrett Wilson, AVT injury prone, Garrett Wilson stud. If one of these next two picks is a wide receiver who's a 1,000-yard guy every year, then yeah, then it's absolutely worth it. If it's going to help out your young quarterback, it's absolutely worth it. This is a great one for Brian. AD Mitchell woke up 7-2 and is going to bed 1-7. That's a really tough spot. That's a really tough spot to be in. Tyson Roush likes the deal. I like Tyson, so I'm happy that he likes it. George says my friend who is a Colts fan is devastated to land a player of Sauce Gardner's caliber. I get moving on the first round picks. Like, that's obviously a massive gamble. They're going for it. They have lightning in a bottle right now, and you just got to hope that they don't get the Giants version of Daniel Jones. They did a little bit this past game. Hopefully that doesn't continue. Really curious to see if we get any news in the next 2 hours from either Breece Hall or Quinnen Williams getting traded. All right, we got time for a few more comments in here. Justin says, normally when I love a trade, it fails miserably. So maybe because I don't know how to feel about this, it has a chance of being good for us in the long run. I hope it's good for the Jets in the long run. They have the capital to make it good for the Jets in the long run. They just have to hit on their picks now, on their 2 first-round picks. Dante says, I was this close to buying a Sauce jersey, but the fates told me no. Something was speaking to Dante today or earlier whenever he was thinking of buying a Sauce Gardner jersey. Yeah, that would have been that would be pretty disappointing, right? If you just got a Sauce Gardner jersey and he was dealt. I know a lot of people have Sauce Gardner jerseys, so you wouldn't be the only one, I think, unfortunately. Kev says, what time do you stream next? I'll be on tomorrow at 3 p.m. I have the Just Jets podcast coming out tomorrow morning. And then I'm on tomorrow at 3 o'clock live on the channel with Jeremy, Jets Chaos. If the Jets do another massive move, I'll come on and do something. But if this is the big thing of the day, then this will be it for me on the day. Aiden says my only jersey is a Sauce jersey. We got to get Aiden a new jersey now. Sorry, Aiden. I'd rather have a quarterback that prevents receptions than one who is great at tackling that. A cornerback, I think he means. Fair point, Chew. That's kind of where I stand on it. Oh, and there's, of course, Chris says no Talking Jets tonight. There is Talking Jets. I'll be live on Talking Jets tonight, 8 to 10. Myself, Ryan, Greenbean will react to this massive trade from the New York Jets that just came through and anything else that happens in the next 2 hours and 15 minutes. So there we go. We're live for just about 45 minutes. I'm going to call it there. Went through and gave my thoughts. I want you guys to tell me your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for hanging out for this breaking news edition of my show. I'm Matt O'Leary. I'll catch you guys next time. Go Jets.